Rows of limousines and expensive cars were pulling up in front of a massive corporate office on one of New York City's busiest streets. Those stepping out of the cars were clad in expensive Italian suits, ties, and shiny shoes. Amidst that crowd, a young man was walking quietly toward the main lobby. He carried an old backpack on his shoulder, and there were slight creases in his jacket. His name was Ethan. No one even glanced at him, because in everyone's eyes, he was just an ordinary janitor. However, Ethan was no ordinary man. He was the multinational company's true heir and future CEO. Having recently returned after finishing his studies at Harvard and completing an internship at a major institution in Silicon Valley. But he had decided to hide his identity. He felt that if he was to take charge of the company, he first needed to know the true nature of his team. Who was honest, who was a sycophant, and who had forgotten their humanity in their arrogance. For this reason, he adopted the disguise of a janitor. Holding a mop in hand, he entered the office. As soon as he entered the lobby, he heard the clicking sound of high heels. A woman was walking rapidly toward him. Her name was Victoria. She was the company's operations director, extremely strict, powerful, and notorious for bullying her subordinates. Seeing Ethan, Victoria's gaze sharpened. She looked him up and down once and said in a harsh tone, "Why are you standing here? Clean everything up right now. This isn't a place for you to loiter." Ethan lowered his head. For a moment, he felt a sharp pang in his chest, but he maintained a calm expression. He silently picked up the mop and moved to a corner. Tolerating this insult wasn't easy for him, but he knew his true purpose was different. This wasn't a game, but a major test where succeeding was crucial for him. Before leaving, Victoria mocked him, saying, "And yes, don't show laziness like the old janitors here, otherwise you won't last long." Hearing her words, some executives in the lobby snickered. Some laughed quietly, while others pretended to hide their faces behind their iPads and walked away. No one imagined that the person they thought was a simple janitor would determine their fate tomorrow. Ethan made a scratch on the floor with his mop and silently vowed that he would watch everything, endure everything, and when the time was right, bring the truth to light. During the lunch break, the cafeteria environment was buzzing with noise as usual. Some employees were laughing loudly, others were chatting with Starbucks mugs in their hands. Ethan was quietly busy cleaning a table in a corner. His eyes were on the floor, but his ears were listening to everything. Suddenly, a woman laughed loudly and pointed, saying, "Hey, look at the new janitor. He looks like a total Texas hillbilly. It seems like it's his first time in a big city." A girl sitting next to her immediately chimed in, "Yeah, I bet he doesn't even know how to press elevator buttons." Another employee sitting with them added even more insult, saying, "Let's hope he doesn't try to sit at our lunch table and eat a burger with us tomorrow." Everyone's laughter echoed together. The smell of hatred and arrogance spread through the air, but Ethan didn't lift his head. A slight, silent smile played on his lips. He was memorizing everyone's faces. He knew that moments like these were the real test, where people's true characters are revealed. He was etching everyone's true nature into his mind. After a while, everyone finished their laughter and coffee and left the cafeteria. Ethan was still busy cleaning. Somewhere inside him, a spark of rage might have ignited, but he calmed his mind. He knew that if he became emotional, his entire plan would fail. He had to proceed with patience and wisdom. Dusk was falling. Outside the office doors, a gleaming black Cadillac pulled up. From a distance, Ethan saw Victoria walking toward the car while talking on the phone. Arrogance was evident on her face and in her demeanor. A nearby security officer opened the car door and Victoria sat inside with a smile. Her words on the phone reached Ethan's ears. "Yes, honey, take me to a 5-star restaurant in Manhattan tonight. I can't go to any cheap diner." Ethan watched the scene intently for a moment, then slowly lowered his eyes. Only one thought crossed his mind. This arrogance wouldn't last long. Power and position cannot always save a person. One day or another, the truth is bound to come out. Ethan walked out of the office with quiet steps. The cold evening breeze of New York touched his tired body, but in his eyes was the glow of firm determination. This was the start of a long game, where every lie, every bit of arrogance, and every injustice was about to be exposed. The next morning, the floor was still wet. "Did you do this cleaning?" Suddenly, Victoria's harsh voice was heard. "The floor is still wet. If someone slips and falls, don't you have any common sense?" Ethan lowered his head and silently began mopping the floor again. Some employees standing nearby looked at each other. Perhaps some felt a little sympathy, but no one dared to open their mouth. They knew that speaking in front of Victoria meant inviting danger to oneself. Everyone averted their eyes and went back to their work. During these days, Ethan became acquainted with an old janitor named Mr. Henderson. Henderson had been working at the company for many years. He was a simple, straightforward man who spoke little but had a very pure heart. He always worked hard and never argued with anyone. Employees often made fun of him. Some called him Old Man, while others mocked his old jacket. But Henderson never took offense. Ethan saw a different kind of light in Henderson. While working with him, he asked, "Mr. Henderson, you've been here for so many years. When people insult you like this, doesn't it make you feel bad?" Henderson smiled and replied, "Respect is given by God. These people laughing today will forget tomorrow, but if we do our work with honesty, we can sleep peacefully at night." These words touched Ethan's heart. He felt that although this man looked weak, he was actually the strongest of them all. During lunch, Henderson would often share his sandwich. One day, handing Ethan half a sandwich, he said, "Here, son, you eat too. I'm an old man, I can manage. You are young, you need more strength." Tears welled up in Ethan's eyes. He thought to himself, if anyone in this company deserved justice first, it was Mr. Henderson. He became an admirer of Henderson's firmness of character and gentleness of heart. In that moment, Ethan promised himself that one day he would restore the rights of not just Henderson, but every person who had been suppressed here for years. Days passed, and Ethan began closely observing the events happening in every corner of the office. One afternoon, news spread that some petty cash dollars had been stolen from the finance department's locker. As soon as the news spread, chaos erupted in the office. Everyone left their cubicles and started discussing it. Someone said, "Maybe there was a mistake in the audit." Another said, "This is definitely the work of an insider." The commotion was still ongoing when Victoria entered the floor with rapid strides. She held some papers in her hand and her face was flushed with anger. She announced loudly in front of everyone, "I know who stole the dollars. It's none other than Henderson." Mr. Henderson, who had just entered the room carrying a water gallon, looked at Victoria in shock. His voice trembled. "Ma'am, I didn't do anything. I just came to replace the water. I didn't even touch the cash box." But Victoria didn't listen to him. She scolded Henderson in harsh language in front of everyone. "Stop it! It's people like you who ruin the company's reputation. You should be fired from here." The employees standing nearby were silent. No one had the courage to say a single word in Henderson's defense. Everyone knew that Victoria had good relations with the board of directors, and messing with her meant risking one's career. HR, Human Resources, was informed immediately, and they gave Henderson a strict warning. Henderson's face turned pale. He lowered his head and silently left the room. Ethan watched the scene from a distance. His heart broke. He knew Henderson was innocent, but everyone just looked away. At night, when the office emptied, Ethan quietly entered the security control room. He went to the computer and opened the room's CCTV recording. The screen clearly showed that Henderson had come into the room, placed the gallon, and left immediately. He hadn't even touched the cash box. Seeing this, Ethan breathed a sigh of relief, but at the same time, a fire of rage ignited within him. He immediately copied the video to his flash drive. He told himself, "The times are changing. This injustice cannot go on for much longer." That night was a crucial night for Ethan. He decided that he would no longer stand by as a spectator, but would break this system very soon. The next morning, a different kind of silence hung over the office. Everyone knew something big was about to happen. Just then, a black Rolls-Royce pulled up at the office's main gate. A smart young man stepped out of the car. He was wearing an expensive Armani suit, Ray-Ban sunglasses, and had a strange determination on his face. Everyone stared in amazement because this young man was none other than Ethan himself, but now he was in his true form. Everyone started entering the conference room one by one. Victoria approached with a big fake smile to welcome Ethan. She still didn't recognize him. She thought he was perhaps a big investor or a VIP guest from Washington. Victoria said, "Sir, my name is Victoria. I am the Director of Operations. I welcome you to this company." Ethan looked at her and smiled slightly. That smile was unfamiliar to Victoria, but it held a silent mockery. Ethan said in a calm voice, "Thank you, Victoria, but there is no need to introduce yourself. I know everything." Victoria stared in surprise. At that moment, Ethan signaled his personal assistant and said, "Let the meeting begin." At the start of the meeting, Ethan turned on a large projector screen. The CCTV footage began playing on the screen, showing the moment Henderson was falsely accused of theft. Everyone watched in shock as they saw how Victoria had insulted an innocent man in front of everyone. The footage clearly showed that Henderson had simply placed the water gallon and left, never touching the cash box. As the video ended, pin-drop silence fell over the hall. Ethan spoke to everyone in a grave voice. "For the past few days, I have been here, not just as an ordinary man, but as the future of this institution. I wanted to see who in my family is truly honest and who is just chasing power. I have seen how some people here can degrade others for their arrogance and false ego. I have seen how an honest and hard-working man was slandered." Victoria's face had turned completely white. She was trembling with fear. She looked at Ethan, unable to speak a word. Ethan then called for Henderson. Mr. Henderson entered the conference room, still fearful, wearing his old uniform and carrying that same old fear in his eyes. Ethan walked up to him with a smile and said, "Mr. Henderson, from today, you are the logistics coordinator of this company. This is the reward for your honesty and hard work. You are an honest and genuine human being. I salute you." Tears came to Henderson's eyes. A mixed emotion of joy and gratitude was visible on his face. He thanked Ethan and, without saying another word, began to cry. Then Ethan looked at everyone and said, "This company will offer no place to those who lack humanity and honesty." As a result, Victoria was terminated from the company. Later, Ethan called Victoria privately and said, "Life doesn't end here. You still have a chance to change. Arrogance may give temporary honor, but in the end, it takes everything away." Then, handing her a card, he said, "We have a leadership training program. If you want, you can join it. There, you can start anew." Victoria finally realized what a mistake she had made. Tears came to her eyes. She lowered her head, thanked Ethan, and left. From the next day, everything had changed. The employees were all working shoulder to shoulder. They had realized that a person's true identity is not defined by their position, dollars, or branded clothes. Rather, it is defined by their character and humanity. Friends, the story ends here. We learn a great lesson from this story. A person's real identity is not their rank, money, or attire, but their honesty and humanity. Never look down on anyone, because who knows what hidden talent or identity lies within them. Who was your favorite character in this story?